screen, we can start waving hello, and we're waiting for all the blue codes to turn green now. I'm looking at the other monitor. Okay, we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook. Come on, good, twice. Okay, let me start the music and let's get this party started here. All right, and we're going to sing. Let me make sure everything is up, and we're going to not sing, we're going to dance. I don't want to frighten my guest. Can you hear it?
Coming in loud and clear.
Let's dance.
So you wanna be
A cool kid hanging with the inset. I'm the inset, Brad. And now you are too. Ready for the drum roll. Casting your neck.
So you wanna be.
Here we go, drum roll. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much to Serge Hoffman, who wrote the music and sings my lyrics to the song So You Wanna Be. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here. We're live streaming on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. Let me refresh the feed here. And I'm with my latest, my newest, well, they're all cool. Brad C. Anderson. We're not going to say Anderson. He's just Brad C.A. He's got so
Brad
many letters
C.A.
in his name. Brad, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm so happy you accepted my invitation. I want you to be honored, but not upset that I think you're cool dude number 35. Is that okay?
35. Well, I'll take that's top 100.
Very good. You know, I have 5 more scheduled, but what's interesting is that I did some math on this. I was very strong in math in school. The men in graduate school were very annoyed, Brad, because I didn't use a slide rule for the statistics class. I used a pencil, and I aced all the tests and the course. And they said, "How could she do that? She's a
You're one of
girl."
those people. You're like, I
She's a
just do math in my
girl.
head. You're like,
She's
how
a
do I do it? I'm
girl.
just smart. That's all. I don't know
Girls
what your
aren't
problem
supposed to
is.
do math. No, I know. It was terrible. I'll never forget the comments. And I was like, who knows she thinks she is? Anyway, so I'm very happy to see you. And
Yeah.
I recently did some math. That's what I was getting to. And it turns out that I have done a Cool Dude show about every 5.667 days since October of last
That's
year.
very
So
precise.
I know it's just how I live my life. Brad, I met you through our mutual contact, Mickey Mickelson of
Yeah.
Creative Edge PR, and you were on some of my other shows. And
Yeah.
I hand choose my dudes for this show. And I said,
It's an honor.
Thank you. You're very kind. He's sharp. So let me do an intro here, and I hope you know who I'm talking about because it's actually the story of your life done in rhyme, and I
Oh,
hope you
that's lovely.
like it. So let's go. Here we go. And you can react any way you want. I hope you're pleased. You may know us well, Bonnie D and Brad CA2. I respect middle initials. Seasoned in life, and we love what we do. From social channels, virtual embrace, we love sharing insights in this special savvy people space. Here on We Dish, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Welcoming Brad C.A. Anderson, a truly cool dude. Here's my rhyming intro. He'll add more, if needed, with attitude. Brad C.A., a cool dude to his core. We welcome him now, who's sure to tell us more. Here we go. Brad C. Anderson was born in 62 beneath Calgary's wide sky, an only child with quiet dreams that soared so high. A nurse for a mom and oil patch dad, in their love he was bound, with roots both firm and fertile. His adventurous heart was found. A shy young soul in junior halls till the stage called Brad near. Brad, Brad. Drama's glow unlocked his voice, dispelling every fear. By night he rolled the D&D dice, Dungeons and Dragons, in realms where legends thrive. Those epic quests would forge the core of stories Brad would contrive. Brad majored in he's liking it so far. Brad majored in biochemistry, where molecules align, while lifeguarding and camp teaching paid the bills on time. Each summer brought endurance tests that polished his steadfast will. Through toil and study side by side, Brad's purpose grew more even still. In 1997, Brad claimed his hard-won MSc degree. Such long hours and fervent zeal stoked ambition blazing free. From Edmonton's, he's liking it. From Edmonton's lab, he toiled with vigor uncontained until Vancouver's coastal breeze called his journey to a new plane. Brad. Across Alberta's breath, he met his love, and they pledged their vow. In 2004, they wed as one beneath the tree of love's hallowed bough. Their union forged a steadfast bond that weathered every storm, together crafting life and laughter in a shared, enduring form. By 2006, I'm only halfway done. By 2006, an MBA acknowledged Brad's eager mind. He found a thrill in business craft and strategies he designed. Then came the great recession's blow. His work slipped through his hand, yet pivoting to real estate taught him resilience firsthand. In 2008, Brad roamed Italia's art-steeped, sunlit roads, first grand adventure overseas beneath those ancient codes. And in 2010, Sweet May, the dog, arrived to play, a faithful friend whose joyful bark brightens their every day. Brad's self-published triumvirate, a sci-fi wars expanse, where traitors and where soldiers strive in galaxies romance. Then doctoral halls embraced his quest for wisdom's deepest view, developing frameworks of power, values, and what Brad knows is true. I'm still going. By
How old
2019,
is this guy?
oh, I don't know. By 2019, his book Duatero reached readers far and wide. Then his thesis spun into accessible text through open access tide. Brad taught with heart in business schools, entrepreneurial art, a course and a book that nourished minds and guide each eager heart. Now chairperson of entrepreneurial leadership, Brad steers the learning sea. Through COVID's digital waves, he saw how connections set people free. He's traveled to Malta, Sicily, and Japan's rich cultures he explores, and Ashmi's song, his newest tale, rings on sci-fi's timeless shores. From his Calgary roots to global quests, Brad has grown, a scholar, teacher, leader, creatively sown. In labs, in classes, and on fiction's stage, Brad's life rings wise, an ever-turning page.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I gotta get that, at the start of, I'm a teacher at a university. At the start of the semester, you gotta like introduce yourself. I should just like imagine if I stand in front of the class and just read that about myself. That'd be
Well,
awesome.
I will send you the clip so you can play the clip because it's all in
Awesome.
the reading, so you understand. So I'm going to
Exactly.
finish.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish now. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh, so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We won't be here. That's what on demand is. And enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real in our live streaming glow. Brad, are you glowing? Let's glow. Let's glow. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. We know who you are. We dish to Saucy Dame and Cool Dude to Bonnie D and Brad CA dishing on life's fun. Pour vous. So,
Oh,
what'd you think? All
nice.
good?
I like that. You end with a little bit of French. That's awesome. Yeah, I
I'm,
love it.
I'm glad he knows what French is. This is
Oh,
cool.
yeah. It's like,
Shout
oh,
out
you're
to Sylvie, my partner in crime. She helps me write these. And just so our viewers and listeners know, I asked my guests for a very detailed chronological first person bio, or if they want to write it in prose, that's fine, or third person. And then I send it all to Sylvie. We're talking hundreds of words, hundreds of words. And Sylvie comes back with a core. I'll say, I need a 10 stanza, 4 lines per stanza, last word in each stanza, rhyme scheme, AABB, and she'll come back with a draft, Brad. And then I'll review it, compare it to what you sent me. And then I'll say, I didn't like this one. I didn't like that one. I need a better rhyme there. I need a better. And I'll go back sometimes. I'll say, Sylvie, s'il te plaît, please review this. Please give me some different words. And she'll come back. And then I'll say, no, I think I'll do it myself. And I'll finish it off. So that's how we got that. So what did,
Sophie sounds amazing. I need a Sylvie in my life.
oh, she's lovely. So what did we miss? Anything we left out that you want to add?
Oh, I'm sure. Just a lot of emails. How's that? Yeah, a lot of emails, a lot of meetings. How's that? All the boring stuff. You missed out all the boring stuff.
Tell me about fiction. How did you get into writing? When did you become an author? What, with your busy life, with all your degrees, with all your travels, with your family, when did you say, I have to write fiction? I have to write sci-fi? Where
I
did
got to
that come
do
from?
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
what
did
am I
that come
doing?
from?
Yeah, I've always written. When I was a kid, I just always that's kind of how I expressed myself a lot. I loved reading. as you may have caught in the early stanzas of the poem, I was, only child, quiet kid, so I probably expressed myself through story a lot. Just the way my brain is wired. And then what happened, I found when I was young, so teenager and stuff like that, I keep writing short stories, and I'm like, you know what, I should see if I can write a novel. And for years, I kept trying to write novels as a teenager. And then, two or three chapters in, I would stop and then I'd start something new. And I'm like, okay, I got to commit. I'm going to write this novel and I'm not going to write anything else until I finish this novel. And I was like maybe 13, 14 years old. And you shouldn't make promises like that. You shouldn't make commitments like that to yourself because I followed through, but I stopped writing for like 20 years or something like that. I'm like, I'm not going to write anything else till I finish this. And I got three chapters in and I stopped, and then I didn't write anything else for like 20 years. Um, and then it was probably like in my 30s or something like that. Like you go through life when you're young, you're trying to get your career set up and you're busy and you're trying to get your life set up. And then things kind of settle down and you're like, oh, you're in your 30s and you can finally catch your breath again. And then I remember, like, I still had the notes. I still had it somewhere in my desk somewhere, and I kind of brushed the dust off. I'm like, this is not a bad story. I should finish this. And then I did finish it, and I fulfilled my commitment to myself. And it's probably in my 30s where I sort of got more, as an adult, got more serious into writing novels, and actually figuring out how to do it right. Um, so that triumvirate trilogy, that was the story that I started when I was 14 and I finished it in my 30s. And
Wait a
uh,
minute, wait a minute. That was the story you started at 14. You dusted
yeah,
it off, you found it, you dusted it off, you
yeah,
brushed it off, and you said,
yeah,
I need to finish
I
this.
gotta finish this. Yeah.
There's a whole story in there, Brad. I don't hear
Ah,
that very often from my guests, and I meet hundreds of authors a year. You know
yeah.
that. 14. I've only been working on my novel for 2.5 years, and I keep dusting it off.
Yeah.
But 14, that's
Yeah.
okay. Keep going. Finish the
Yeah.
story.
Well,
Go
and
ahead.
it's funny, like when I read the novel, like I don't know, I feel like there is a tonal shift
Hmm.
because when you're 14 and when you're in your 30s, I know you see the world differently. And I kind of think like when I started off the story, it's like, it's going to be like an action adventure and swashbuckling this and that and yada yada yada. And then by the time I'm in my 30s, like I'm familiar with world events, and I know it's going, I kind of know, I know what swashbuckling means in real life. It's like, pain and suffering and war and stuff like that. And so there's this, like, I feel like there is this tonal shift, in that trilogy. Like it starts off sort of this fun action adventure, and then it kind of gets serious just as I found like when I'm 30, in my 30s, like I can't write as lighthearted as I did when I was 14 and I didn't know anything about the world. Like I couldn't just pretend I'm 14 and I don't know what I know. So I don't know what other people think who have read the series, but I feel like when I read it, I can feel a tonal shift in the story. Like it starts out as this fun swashbuckling action adventure, but then it kind of gets real and you explore like the impact on people and stuff like that. And the rest of my all my other books since then are not because they've not been so spread out in time. They're more, I don't know, tonally consistent. But
Hmm.
there you go. That's the story of that.
That is fascinating. I have not heard that. To me, 3 years is a long time to be writing the same book. But Sylvie is helping me. She's doing my line editing, by the way, and she
Oh,
likes
lovely.
my style. And
Lovely.
I sense, Brad, that a human editor, if I hired somebody, would basically smash and burn my style, which is very interesting and very different and irreverent. Well, you know
Yeah.
me enough by now.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
satirical novella, and I have a feeling, yeah, and it's not under my name because the people who know it's about them would, you have to write. How do you pick the titles for your novels? Can you share that?
Yeah. All right. So I you know picking titles is actually it's fun and it's actually difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to try to capture the spirit and the theme of the story in 1 to 2 words in a way that kind of, makes people curious. Like, oh, what's this about? Like, what's this about? So, like my first traditionally published novel, Duotero, um, the Duotero means second Earth. And it's about a second Earth, like it is. It's about a second Earth. but it's like the language that I use, Duotero, is a language that sort of weaves into the story, so it kind of pulls that out into the title. And I think it's kind of, it raises curiosity. Like, what does that mean, Duotero? Like when I say second Earth, you can probably, envision how Dua means two and Taro means Earth. You can probably, so I think there's sort of like this symbolic, sort of vibe that people might get from it. The other book, my other traditionally published book, is Ashmi's Song, and so one of the characters in the book. So one of the characters in the book, Ashmi's Song, has a neurological disorder that they have disabilities, but they're kind of musical savants. Like they're very musically oriented and they understand music and they're just like they're drawn to music and stuff like that. And this theme of music sort of takes on this meaning through the story. And so Ashmi's Song, just on the surface, you're like, okay, it's about a character's Ashmi's Song. That kind of seems like
And
that
what
kind of
does the
seems
name
like.
Ashmi mean? Is there a
So
significance to
Ashmi is
that?
one of the characters. So Ashmi is the sister of this character who's very musically oriented. So Ashmi is the sister, right? And so it's Ashmi's Song. So yeah, you hear, I know, you should read you read the title and you're like, well, that seems like the title of, that seems like a thing that an author would name a book, something song. But it sort of, as you read the book, there's this layers, I think, unfold, like layers of meaning unfold towards the title as you read the book and you see what music means and you sort of see how this theme develops throughout the book. So I like the name because like on the surface you're just like, oh, it's just a name, but as you read the book there's layers of meaning that get unpacked with the title. You can kind of see the title of the book deeper and deeper as you read the story. So I like that. There you go. That's
Well, thank you. I want to share with you that the past 2 nights, full disclaimer, today is Friday, May 30th. I don't know where the year is going. I thought it was starting slowly, and now it's like, whoosh, we're
we're
almost
back.
halfway
Yeah.
done. I know. Anyway, I've been watching the Scripps National Spelling Bee on Ion TV, which is apparently included in my Spectrum basic package. I've never watched Ion. I think they have a lot of old movies. And I watched a little bit on the semifinals on Wednesday night, and last night I tuned in for the finals. And speaking of word derivation, Brad, these young people as young as 11 years old spend 3 to 6 hours a day learning spelling. But it's not just memory. It's the roots, the countries, the languages of the root words,
Love it.
what the word, and when you mentioned duotero, I was thinking the amazing grasp of what's it called? The etymology of
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
And these kids know, and they'll say to the moderator, what are the basic languages? What are the derivations from? And is that like the Greek word such and such? And another person on the moderators panel will look at a separate laptop and he'll say, you're heading in the right direction. He won't say yes or no, or he'll
Wow.
say, no, that route is not indicated in what I see. He can't tell them yes or no, but he can say, you're on the track or no. That's all he can say. But the depth and the words they gave them were words from we parts of animals and mollusks
No
and
way.
musical instruments from ancient cultures and
Yeah.
the parts of a vertebrae of a small insect that hasn't been alive for 300 years. And these are the words they're giving them. And the students, some of them write magically on their wrist. They'll just stand there and go,
Oh, no way.
and they'll repeat the word 5 or 10 times.
Yeah.
Ashme, Ashme. Is there a French derivation? Is that from the Greek for dua and tero for earth from the Latin? Ashme, Ashme, Ashme. And then finally, as the clock is ticking down, they'll try the spelling. It got down to 6 on the panel, 3 girls, 3 boys. I think I can still say that. And then the 3 girls were gone. They missed a letter. And they show you on the screen as they're spelling the word what the right spelling is. But
Wow.
you're going to like this, I think. When somebody fails on a word, I hate to even use that word, they
Yeah.
have come from thousands of schools, from millions of original applicants to this, millions each year. Okay.
That's epic.
Somebody says to them, there's usually a woman, an older woman is sitting there. Older means she's not 14 years old. She's sitting there and she'll say, Brad, We are all so proud of you. You've come so far. We know that you moved to this country when you were 6 and had to learn English by watching TV and reading about the origins of language. You have such a great personality and you're a credit to your family and your school. We wish you well and we hope you'll come back again next year. That's how they read them off the stage. Can you believe that,
Wow,
Brad?
that's awesome. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it. It's like, okay, loser, get off the stage,
I
get
know,
out of the
right?
way.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly like you're not a loser. You're like, you're of the top 10 of humanity, you're like eight, so like you're not a loser,
Yeah.
like you're
But
epic.
what I was thinking, epic is a great word. What I was thinking was, imagine if these kids got together
Yeah.
and wrote a dystopian novel
Oh yeah.
using the
Use all the
language.
words.
Yes. Can you imagine if they took all the words? You and I have to get together on this. If
Yeah.
we take all the words from the spelling bee final and semifinal and put them into some kind of
Yeah.
a novel, what would it look like? What would it sound like?
It
What do you
would be,
think?
it would be, it'd probably be a hard read, I imagine. You're like,
Are
what?
you are you free?
That dictionary
We'll have
there.
to have an audio component. Click here and
Yeah.
hear Brad pronounce his 12-syllable word.
Yeah.
Are you free after the show? We'll start it. Yeah,
Just do it.
I
Yeah.
think we'll do it. Okay. Anyway, I
I,
had to
I
get in.
always I, I always really like etymology as well. I don't know if because I know you like I don't know if I'm the only guy, but I'll be going around my day and I'll be like where did the word salad come from? Like how like why do we call it that? Like where did that name come from, right? And then you can just Google it and you're like it came from like 11th century English,
Yes.
blah 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 blah, and you're like
Yes, you're not the
we
only one. And there's a new feature. I won't tell you what newspapers I read online. Some of them are very well known, and I'm formerly from New York, and that's a clue. Okay, most of my life's been New York, but
keeping the
when
time.
you're
Yeah,
reading an article, if you're not sure of the meaning of a word or the derivation, you can highlight it right there on your
oh,
phone, on your app, on wherever phone, computer, and it will have a pop-up that will say look up.
yep,
I do that often, Brad.
yep,
I read that often just to make sure I know because when writers today are not writing for a lower denomination, they're writing for a higher level reader. And
right,
some of the words are just, I think I know it, but I want to understand. So I am very often
yep,
clicking that lookup and say, oh, that was a Latin word. Oh, yeah, that means such and such. Yeah,
yeah.
here's how. And then I'll go back to the article. What do you think?
Yeah, I like, and I feel like, there's always this like, what level should you write towards, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
most news nowadays and like presidents, they kind of speak, what do they say at a grade 8 level? And I know I like, we have all these words and like we should use the words, right?
I
And
agree.
like, because they
Use
mean
them well.
something. They mean,
Yeah.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I
just
knew I
me.
liked you. I knew
Yeah. We have all these words. Like, let's, like, come on. Like, let's,
language is important. When you're reading anything in the news or anywhere,
yeah.
or you're reading somebody's book, does a bad grammar, does a missing word, does a wrong preposition, do those jump out at you when a little red flag pops up? Because it does for
So
me.
yeah, all right. So yeah, I do notice having published work of my own, I
Yes.
perhaps a little more forgiving than I used to be.
Okay.
Like, oh, it's hard. There's like 100,000 words in this novel, and you got one wrong. Okay, that's
Yeah.
still pretty good. So I'm a little bit more forgiving than I used to be. But yeah, I do notice it. Yeah, I do know. I wish I noticed it more in my own writing so I could catch it earlier.
Well, we
But that's
say
always
you
the
can't edit your own stuff
Yeah, that's
because
the tragedy of writing.
you
Yeah.
know what it's supposed to say in
Yeah.
your head, and
Yeah.
a dispassionate second,
Yeah.
third, fourth party will
Yeah.
hopefully pick it up.
Yeah. I always find like I can't read anything that I've published. I'm like I can't read because I know the second I open that book, my eyes are just going like zonk. Oh, there's the typo. Crap. Why did you?
Yes,
And it's like as
yes,
soon as it's too late for me to do anything about it, that's when I'm going to see it. So I'm like I can't. As soon as it's
yes.
published, I just got to let it go.
Yep.
It's perfect in my mind. It's perfect in my memory.
Yep. Well, back in the early days when I started doing author interviews on radio, I was a live host on a real radio station, WGBB AM 1240, the oldest AM station on Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
And I would have one guest for the hour. I was a Friday night drive time host from 6 to 7 p.m. And I would have people send me their real books, their hard copy books. And I would spend Friday afternoon, if my work was done, my real job was done, I would read the book as much as I could. Sometimes I'd just sit in a tepid bathtub and I'd have the book on the edge and I'd just read for an
Yep.
hour and say, "Oh my God." But as soon as I saw more than a couple of typos,
Yeah.
as soon as
Yep.
I would look to see who had published the book, was it self or was it? And sometimes these were big publishing houses, Brad.
Yeah.
And to me, that's, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
unforgivable.
Yeah.
Unforgivable that the muscle of what used to be the big publishing houses that would do the work, not anymore unless you're Oprah or somebody who's got big,
Yeah.
big time books, uh, they had missed it. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh my goodness, how can I even read this? How can I read this person was taken under the wing of a big professional company that specializes in this, and they missed these type even
Batteries of editors. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'll be forgiving. Say, now that I've been through the process, like I'll be forgiving of one or two. But yeah, if it's happening a lot, because when it like it jars you out of the story, right? Like when you're in the
Yes,
flow, you're just in the
yes,
story, and then
yes,
all of a sudden, yeah, boom, like, oh, that's not the right word. Like it
that's right.
jars you out, right? And you can maybe do that once, maybe whatever, once or twice, and you can get back. But if it keeps
Yep,
happening, you're like, it's like a machine gun rattling you out of the story all the time, and you're like, okay, I can't
absolutely.
focus on the story because
Yes.
this is just
And
right.
that happened on the final of the spelling bee last night, where the camera wasn't supposed to be on the woman who had just read the walk-off accolade to the young man who had messed
Right.
up his word. And instead of going back to the panel or the moderator or the stage, as they were getting ready to talk about something else, they kept the camera on her. And she
Yeah.
was sitting there looking at her notes and she's looking around. You could see people behind her clearly. And she looked up and realized she was on camera. Clearly, the director forgot to change the shot. Now, having done my own TV show for years on Long Island,
Yeah.
I know what those shots look like. And I know who's in that control room saying, go to camera one, camera two, pan in, camera three, truck to the left,
Yeah.
camera four, you're hot, you're live. Somebody wasn't
Somebody had a sandwich in their mouth or something like that. They're like,
and I'm sitting there saying, whoops, I hope she notices she's on
yeah,
international
yeah.
TV
Don't
live.
swear. Yeah.
And she's looking around like, oh,
Uh-oh.
okay. And it lasted. It wasn't just a 1 second
Yeah.
quickie. It was probably 5 to 10 seconds, which is a lifetime in live
Yeah.
TV. So
How
it
many
wasn't
places is it?
horrible, but Brad, we notice these things
Yeah.
when, right? We notice these in advertisements. Sometimes you'll notice, you'll say, "Oh, come on, that shot was that ketchup really isn't flowing on that hamburger. We know it
Oh,
was done in the
yeah.
studio under 100,000-degree lights, and it was
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was red dye number something or other, which is
Yeah.
banned now." And
They didn't roast that turkey. They shellacked it. Yeah.
we know I've been
Yeah.
on
Oh, yeah.
shoots where we see how food is processed. So anyway, we
Yeah.
know too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to start a new show called "We Know Too Much."
Yeah.
I think
Sometimes, yeah, ignorance can be
absolutely.
bliss. Yeah, because that's true, right? Like sometimes, um, when like technically how something is supposed to work,
Yes,
then you can catch all the errors, and you can't necessarily enjoy like when you were a kid, you didn't know anything, you just enjoyed it, and then all of a sudden now you know what it's supposed to do, and you're
yes,
like, oh, there's that, and there's that, and oh, they should have done, and then you're like, you can't just turn the brain off and enjoy it anymore, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to say it again. I knew I liked you.
Yeah.
See, that's why I like these. I don't do one-on-one interviews. This is, to me, is not an interview. We're having a
Yeah.
conversation. But
Yeah.
I mostly on my other shows, I always do panel conversations,
Yeah.
panel discussions, roundtables. And a couple months ago, I said, I miss just having a conversation with
Having a
somebody on the
chat.
air. I'm not shy, and you're
Yep.
not shy, obviously. Why not just make so? Now that we've talked about language and we talked about
Yeah.
writing, and we talked about publishing, we talked about TV, and we've talked about directors. What kind of
Oh,
sandwich was that? What was it? A
I
tuna
don't know. It's
sandwich?
like let's call it a Reuben sandwich. Yeah,
Can we put some salami in there?
yeah, salami in there,
Bologna?
coming out of his
Bologna.
mouth, mustard on his chin. Yeah,
Bologna.
like,
Yeah. Okay, director, whoever you were, we're not going to name you. We don't even know. Okay, we'll have to look you up. Anyway, let's go to the part of the show where I asked you a little bit about your favorite music that makes you feel like a cool dude, that
yeah,
defines you, or just songs you like. Talk to me, Brad.
awesome. Yeah, so that was a fun. So I love lots of music. I'm always getting bored with like I'm just always adding new music to my playlist. And so this was a hard question, you're like, pick three songs that are kind of meaningful to you, and like my playlists have thousands, literally thousands of songs. I'm like, which are the 3 to 5 that I find interesting? And so I found it an interesting challenge because like, what are the songs that I keep not the songs that I like, but the songs that kind of mean something or I find meaning in the song. So it keeps me coming back to those songs. So that was kind of a fun challenge. And so there's three songs. I can just say what they are and then I can talk about them,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
One,
please.
one of the songs is more traditional. It's Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas. It's an old 70s band.
Carry on my wayward
Oh,
son.
you got it. Yep. Yeah.
I
That
know.
song kind of, I don't know. I like the meaning to it,
Yeah.
or it means something to me. I don't know if it
Hmm.
means the same thing to everyone. There's another song, Krigsgarld. I can't pronounce it. It's Krigsgarld. It's by this band Heilung. It's a Norwegian Scandinavian band, which is why I can't pronounce anything.
Can you hum it? Can you hum a little bit?
Oh, it's
You got a
funny you
guitar
should ask.
handy? Yeah.
No, there's like it's the coolest music. There's like a lot of throat singing. So this band Highland, what they do, so it's you call it a Celtic band, but like their lyrics are inspired by Celtic runes. They only use musical instruments that were kind of existed in like the Bronze Age kind of stuff. So it's like very old music, right? And so it's very cool. I can't hum it because I know I'm not a throat singer. But they
Wait a
had
minute,
say
what is a throat singer? Wait, what is it?
I don't you gotta like Google that. It's a cool it's this technique that a singer can train their throat to do so that you can kind of have two tones coming out of your throat at once. And it creates this really it's like an unworldly sound coming out of people's throats. So I don't know how they do it,
Here we
but
go. Throat singing, also known as overtone singing, is a guttural singing style that involves producing multiple notes simultaneously. Singers use their entire vocal tract, including the lips, tongue, jaw, velum, and larynx, to manipulate the throat's resonance and create unique harmonies. The technique is thought to have originated in southwestern Mongolia and is practiced in various cultures around the world, including Central Asia, northern Canada,
yep.
and
Yep.
South Africa. Well, thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Thank goodness to my little
I know,
lookup
right?
here.
I feel like there's a spelling bee in that answer
I
there.
think there is.
Yeah,
There's some
vellum.
etymology. Aren't we
Yeah,
excited?
yeah. So
Keep
it's
going.
I say it creates this unworldly sound. So it's just cool. It's this cool music to kind of vibe to, just having it on in the background. A lot. So this song Kierkegaard, which I can't pronounce, it actually has a couple of stanzas in English, and so like okay, I can actually and I like the meaning of it. I know there's important meaning to me that I get out of it, and it's just a cool band that everybody should hear about and learn about and check out. The third song that I have is The Humbling River by the band Pucifer. The Humbling River by the band Pucifer.
Okay.
Again, just it's I know it's got a cool meaning to me. The lyrics kind of speak to me, and I get a meaning out of it. So yeah, a lot of the songs I just like I like thousands of songs. I'm just always looking for something new. I like hard rock, I like heavy metal, but a lot of it is just background. Every once in a while you get a song where like, wow, that song has a meaning and it kind of pulls you, and I'm like, okay, you kind of latch on to it. And those are three songs that catch on to that. Catch on to me at least a little bit.
Thank you. You are the first out of 35, I think 35 dudes on this show who have said that picking songs was a challenge. And
I think so.
I'm honored that you said that because
Yeah.
as you say, oh yeah, I have 310, I have 25 songs, share them with you. But I haven't had anybody say that. And I think the other guests, the previous guests, have done the work of saying what means something to me and what have I liked along the way, or what's a
Yeah.
special song that talks to me, or I talk to it, or something. But you're the first one who has articulated that it was a challenge. We want to hear my songs? You want to know
Love
my
it.
songs?
Bring it on. Yeah.
I do this on every show because I have so many. So let me take you
Yeah.
through the phases. One is Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. Most of these are by females.
Yep.
You Don't Own Me by Leslie Gore, which was an indie, You Don't Own Me. And I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar by Helen Reddy. Isn't she Canadian? I think Helen is Canadian. Me and Bobby McGee, Janis Joplin's
Oh,
Freedom's Just Another Word
classic.
for Nothing Left to Lose. Talk about that. I think I've got a theme here. Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Respect by Aretha
Yeah.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Respect. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. You're getting the
I'm
theme
getting the
here.
theme. I'm getting the theme here.
New Attitude by Patti LaBelle. I got a new attitude. I've Had the Time of My Life by Bill Medley, which was in the movie Dirty Dancing. A new favorite is I Feel Better When I'm Dancing by Megan Trainor.
Oh, nice.
I shouldn't tell you this. Don't tell anybody. When I leave the house to go to supermarket or somewhere else,
Yeah.
I ask Alexa, I can't say her name louder, she'll talk to me. I ask Alexa to play Megan Trainor's song list. And I put it on the loudest possible volume on my
Right. Yeah.
Alexa Echo on the wall. And
Yeah.
when I leave the house and put the alarm on, people think I'm there because they hear music if anybody came to the
Oh, no
door.
way. Yeah.
And then when I come home, if it's still working, sometimes it just stops.
Yeah.
I come in and I've got music playing. So, and I dance to her. So, Megan Trainor is one of my new favorites. Now, the one that encapsulates everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Brad, don't think less of me or more. I was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
dis,
Yeah.
I was a
See where this goes.
disco dancer in
Yeah.
the,
I love it.
I tell you when. I had a professional partner. I had a couple of them actually,
No
and we
way.
did exhibitions, we did dance contests, we did stage
Gotcha.
work, we taught, and we did parties. We had a blast. So Donna Summer, who left us way too soon, very talented woman. Her discography, I love that word because it's so clunky to say. Like
Yeah.
filmography goes off the tongue. Discography kind of stops you on the anyway. Her songs are the story of I think my life. So she works hard for the money. I think I have.
Yeah.
Hot stuff. I like to say I was never a streetwalker in San Francisco, but I've been called hot stuff many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I'm longing for those days again. On the radio, well, it's been about 20 years, so I still call this radio No
Yep.
More Tears. Enough is enough is enough is enough. I think that was a duet with Streisand, I'm pretty sure. Last Dance, well, I've had my last dance in public, but I'm still dancing in the kitchen. Thank you, Megan Trainor. And the one I Feel Love, remember with Giorgio
Oh,
Moroder with
yeah.
that machine? Da, 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 I feel love, love,
Yeah.
love, killing this one. And then Heaven Knows, which was a song in the
Nice.
MacArthur Park Suite. Heaven knows just how much I love you. And my professional partner, Michael, and I did the Disco Hawaii contest at the Copa nightclub in Eugene, Oregon. And I'm not telling you the year. It
I'm
was
going to say this probably predates YouTube. I'm like,
Don't you dare. And we
I,
came in third, and we didn't know that the woman who won owned a dance studio. Nobody told us that she
oh,
was a
that's not
professional.
fair.
No, it wasn't fair at all. But we came in from opposite sides of the floor. We sewed our own costumes. I was sewing everything, and his mother
Wow.
made this billowy blue shirt, the same silk my top. I had a skirt that was black satin that only tied at the waist. So when he spun me over his head and on the death drop on the floor, just out
Yeah.
of Saturday Night Fever, the skirt opened up and it was a 360-degree circle of black satin
Cool.
with the
I love
fishnet
it.
stockings and the black hat. Don't even say a word. I was only 97 pounds. I was very easy to lift. He was about 120, so we were an interesting pair. Anyway, his beard was tall. Yeah, he was a tall, skinny guy who lived in
Yeah.
a trailer in the woods somewhere, and he was a professional cleaner at the University of Oregon. Architecture lab, and he taught me how to use a broom. He taught me how to
No
sweep
way.
a floor the
This
proper
is a
way. But he was a former Arthur
that's
Murray teacher.
that seems like yeah, I can imagine I can imagine the conversation that got to let me teach you how to use a broom. You're like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Like, what? Come on. Okay, get over here.
It
This is
was
how you
great. It was
this is how
great.
you
Michael
clean.
was a wonderful partner, and we did exhibitions and we did classes and we taught seniors on our lunch
That's
hours.
awesome.
It was great. So
That's so cool.
da 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 da. We came in from opposite sides of the floor. He lifted me over his head, did the
Yeah.
spin, and
Before
then
pre-dirty dancing over the
oh,
heads. Yeah.
and then right down to the floor and spun me 6 inches above the floor and then set me on
Wow.
my feet. And we did the routine, heaven knows, just anyway. So that's my Donna Summer discography of my life.
No video evidence of this. There's no that's
There might be some actual Polaroid pictures
actual.
floating around in a
Yeah, some
shoebox
age.
somewhere.
Yeah.
We're not going to show them today. Okay, let's move on.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And you talk about how his mom made his billowy blue shirt. From that time period, I don't care what anybody thinks. I think billowy shirts for men need to make a comeback. I think men need billowy shirts again.
Didn't Seinfeld have a billowy white
Oh
shirt?
yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did. Not for joke. Yeah. Don't play it for jokes. You got to play it for yeah. Absolutely. You gotta like billowy like you should be able to just walk into the office and nobody laughs at you with a billowy shirt. I think they've got to make a comeback. Like, come
I
on.
think so. No, I bought the fabric, and Michael's mom made his, and I made a little tiny spaghetti strap shirt for myself in the blue, and then the black skirt. It was we were quite interesting. I'll look and see if I have any pictures. I could probably
So cool.
take a digital picture of a picture, which you're not supposed to do. Because, yeah, they still
Nice.
come out okay. So let's move to the top part of the show called OTT, Off the Top, Fast and Furious. And
Oh,
I
wish me
sent you
luck.
a list, a bunch of topics. I'm going to
Yeah.
pick three or four. I'm
Yeah.
going to surprise you, and
It's
let's
it's
see
like
where
it's
you.
like it's like those exams. Like I hope the prof asks the right questions. Yeah.
I think I
Why not?
will. I'm
Yeah.
not going to ask you what's your creativity superpower because I think we've already done that one in terms of
Cool.
your starting at 14, writing, and then
Yeah.
picking it up 20 years later. And I think that is a creativity superpower. And mine is I love to talk to people, and we'll just leave that
Works.
one alone.
Yeah.
I
That
hope it
works.
does. So let's start off with and I'll give you my answers too. So it stays as a
Okay.
conversation. This is not a Q&A, kids, with a scripted, okay, you got 22 seconds to answer this. We don't do that here.
We're winging it.
So I love it. Start your day. How do you start your day? What drink or food powers you? It doesn't have to be early in the morning. It could be
Yep.
brunch. It could be lunch. What is it? Something you eat or drink that really gets that energy going.
Yeah,
Brad?
nice. I'm a coffee guy. That's the short answer. So this is my morning routine. Like I get up, I crawl out of bed. Takes me like whatever 20 minutes to just like figure out where. It's like what day is this? Where am I? What am I doing? Sort of once I get myself together, first thing I do, put a pot of coffee on, take the dog, go for a nice walk with the dog. Come back. I grab the coffee, grab my dog. My dog has breakfast. I sit down in a nice comfy chair. I read the news. I drink my coffee, read the news, drink my coffee. When the coffee is done, I start my work. I start work.
Okay.
That's my morning ritual. Weekend, weekday. That's how I start my day.
We want to know what kind of coffee, half calf, full
Oh,
calf. Is it
just full on. Yeah, I'm a caffeine junkie. People like in my email signatures, I'll say coffee lover, and people are like, oh, like they think, do you have a $20,000 coffee maker? I'm like, no, I'm the guy at the back of like gas stations. Like, hey man, do you have any grounds? Like like it's just caffeine, just full on black vector of caffeine. And I like the bitter taste of coffee. I don't know what that says about me. I just like the bitter. I like the taste.
I
Like this
do
tastes
too.
like burnt dirt. This is great.
I
I
like
don't know
it
why.
burnt cocoa. I like
Yeah,
that coffee
yeah.
chocolate. I can't do caffeine anymore. And if I have caffeine, you would be scraping me off the ceiling even a little bit. I can't even do decaf coffee. And I have a
Really?
Keurig and I have an espresso. When my children come to visit me, they take it out of the garage and
Yeah.
they bring their own pods. I used to be able to drink 10 cups a day. And now, well, I was on a diet. Boy, did I lose weight fast. But anyway, it was that and rice and graham crackers and coffee. And after a couple months of that, I think I had a little protein in there somewhere. People asked me if I was sick
Yeah,
because
go
I
figure. Yeah.
lost too much weight.
You're
Men were
like
saying, hey, there's nothing to. Never mind, I won't say anything.
you're gaunt and vibrating. Are you okay?
Go
Yeah.
on. Yes, that's an interesting juxtaposition. We
Yeah.
will not go there. Thank you very much. But I did love my coffee. So now I'm a tea drinker, and I have a
Okay.
little trick. I use mostly, obviously, herbal tea.
Yeah.
Can't even have caffeine in black tea, but I buy the mint or peppermint or mint medley, whatever, the
Yeah.
different brands, and oh, this is sacrilegious, Brad. I'll take water from the filter in the refrigerator. I have one of those little tiny spouts on the inside where you put the cup and you press the button. It's
Yeah.
very hard to get the cup under but I don't know who designed it, but it works.
Yeah.
I'll fill a mug and then I'll put it in the microwave for about a minute and a half till it's not boiling, but it's a big mug. And then I'll drop the tea bag with the string in it into it and just let it finish cooking. If it's
Yeah.
too hot when it comes out, I'll put one ice cube in it, just a small ice cube to get it
Yeah.
to drinking temperature, not room temperature. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll drink it. I'll have it if I'm working, I have a show, whatever I'm doing in my office. Then I refill the cup with more filtered water from the fridge and I put it in the refrigerator. No milk, no sugar, no lemon, nothing. And
Right.
I leave it there overnight. The next day, it is lovely mint flavored water,
There you
cold
go. Yeah.
water.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'll use it as a refreshing drink. And sometimes I'll refresh it one more time during the day. And on the
Yeah.
second or third day, I throw it out and I start again. So that's how I
Yeah,
do
I like it.
multi.
Nothing sacrilegious about that. I don't know if
Thank
anybody
you. Well,
if
it's the
anybody's going to give you a hard time
microwaving.
about that, you tell them to get a life.
I had a British guest on one of my shows
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago, and
Those-
he said,
That explains it.
seriously, he
Yeah.
said the cup has to be a certain millimeter of fine bone
Yeah.
china.
He's like,
And you,
you're insulting my culture. Yeah. It's like, dude.
absolutely. And he said, how could you Americans use those terrible dusty tea bags? He was, I'll never forget that one. And he said, you have to have the temperature of the water at exactly this number of degrees. And you have to steep the tea with the little tea ball, the strainer, for so many minutes exactly. And that's how you serve it. And I thought, oh, that's a lesson I'll never learn. So,
You know, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that just, yeah, yeah.
hello.
I, I think, yeah, I got some feelings about you now. Yeah, absolutely. I saw this one. I don't know. It was some guy talking about like it was like one of those fancy coffee guys. He was like, before like he's like before I got serious about coffee, most of the coffee I drank would be like a 7 or 8 out of 10, but
Hmm.
because I didn't know any better. Then I got into coffee, and now I've bought this like $10,000 coffee machine, and I use this high-end coffee. And now the coffee that I drink, I'd still give it like an 8 or 7 out of 10, but now normal coffee is crap. And so like he goes through all this process, but then you get normalized to it, and you still kind of subjectively like, well, this is a 7 or 8 out of 10, but now you're like $10,000 to get the 7 or 8 out of 10. Versus when you don't know anybody, you're like, just whatever, like just dump this in the cup, and it's still good, right? You know?
Well, the title of my show that I created, I like to call myself a pioneer in thought leadership roundtable radio for businesses. And I was working for SAP, the German-based business software company. I worked for
Yeah.
them almost 10 years. And I came up with the idea for a coffee break with game changers, which is ironic because I probably wasn't able to drink too much coffee by then. But I had a guest, roundtable, different topics, people from different companies all over the world. It was very, very interesting. All business topics, no selling, no pushing, no pitching, no marketing, just thought leadership. What
Right.
a new idea, Bonnie D. We can't sell? No, you can't. Everybody knows you're sponsoring the show. That's
Yeah.
enough. Okay. Gee, the salespeople were listening to my shows to learn how to have a conversation, Brad. They weren't trained that way. So that was very flattering. 48 series later, 9 years later,
That's awesome.
millions of listeners around the world. But I
Yeah.
had a guest one day who said that she took a new job. I don't know what the conversation was, probably in her bio. Guests did their own bios in those shows, but I didn't do
Right.
the rhyming bios. And she mentioned that she was a coffee slash caffeine junkie addict, like you like to say, in a kind way.
Yeah.
And she took a new job, and she notified her boss that she was a 8 or 10 cup a day coffee drinker,
Oh,
and she was
yeah.
gonna, because she was at work, she was gonna try and calm that down, and she was gonna cold turkey. There's turkey and coffee for you. What a meal. She was
Yeah.
going to stop. And she made a promise to herself and to the manager that she would stop having this dependency on coffee for her productivity. Well, 2 weeks later, and she told us all this story. I renamed the show True Confessions. Brad, 2 weeks later, the boss came to her and he said, Marianne, I'm making the name up, would you please start drinking coffee again?
Yeah, for the love of God.
And she said, why? And he said, you're up to here. You're wired. You're wrong. You're wild. We
Yeah.
think the coffee will calm you down. Please, he said, we'll get a new coffee machine for the office.
But you're
Please
miserable. Yeah.
start
That's so funny.
drinking again. And
Yeah. For the love of God. Yeah.
the stories that we remember when people are telling us about their life. Isn't that
That's awesome.
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Next question. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see here. Oh, we've got a problem. Oh, I got the phone here. Who is it?
Oh,
It's Spielberg. No, it's Martin
no.
Scorsese. No, no, they're together. It's Francis Ford Coppola. No, wait a minute. Aaron Sorkin's on the phone. Wait a minute. Robert and Michelle King. Shonda. Oh, would you hold, please, all of you? Oh my goodness, this is so interrupting. They are having a fight over who gets to do a movie or a TV show about your life story, Brad, or
Love
a
it.
character development about you without saying this is Brad C. Anderson's life
Yep.
story. So they want to know, who do you pick for the director? What's the title of the story? Is it a movie? Is it a limited series TV edition? It's limited series, 6 or 8. Is it a serial show that's on every year, renewed, hopefully? Is it a drama, fantasy, musical, romance, comedy, time travel, sci-fi, thriller, drama, or action? I like comedy and musical, obviously. And the title and who would play you. That's a lot. I'm
That's a
sorry to
lot.
do this to you, Brad. I know we're here on
Okay.
live, but they're holding on the phone and they really want an answer. So go ahead, play
All
favorites.
right, cool. So this is going to date myself, but so back in the I don't know 80s or 90s, there was this movie Willow. Do you remember the movie Willow?
No,
It's a
tell me.
fantasy movie. It starred Val Kilmer. But yeah, so it's this fantasy movie. Willow is a beautiful story. It's a fun little action adventure. It was directed by Ron Howard. So Ron
Oh,
Howard has directed a lot of different types of genres, but I would like
hmm.
my life story. It's going to be a fantasy. It's going to be a fantasy in the vein of this movie Willow, directed by Ron Howard. And so the main character, or I say one of the leads was a young Val Kilmer who also left us too soon. A young Val Kilmer. If we could find a young Val Kilmer kind of person to play me, that'd be awesome. In a Willow-esque type of movie, directed by Ron Howard, with a young Val Kilmer wannabe. That'd
Here,
be
enter the world of Willow. Journey to the far corners of your imagination to a land of myth and magic where dream and reality live side by side, to a place that never existed, a time that never was, a world where a young man named Willow lives out an adventure that explodes beyond the boundaries of his own hopes and fears. That's you, huh?
that's well, yep, yeah, yep, good enough. Exactly. I'll take it.
But we can't name it Willow again because
No,
so
so
what would the
we
title
got to give
be?
it a name. So I call it caffeine. I don't know.
That's
Call
fine.
it caffeine.
That's fine.
It's a plant derivative thing. Yeah, caffeine.
Caffeine. Okay. And young Val Kilmer. You got anybody in mind? Any
Yeah. So who
newcomers?
would that be today?
Robert
It's
Pattinson, maybe?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I like that. I like that. A young Robert, or he is young
yeah,
Robert Pattinson. I don't look at all like him, but I just like the
doesn't
style.
matter. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Okay. And would there be a leading person, a partner in this, a lady or another
Okay,
man?
cool.
Or
So my wife, it would be my wife. My wife's a redhead. Hey, Bonnie, my wife's a redhead.
hey.
So that would be like maybe an Amy Adams. So she's a redhead.
Ooh.
Have an Amy Adams.
Ooh. And
There
would
you
that
go.
would you write the script? Would you write the screenplay for your own
Sure.
story?
Yeah, you betcha. A screenplay written by Brad. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be
I
really
was
cool.
going to say
I'll do
Tim.
the trailer. I do trailers, by the way.
Love it. You're on.
I
You're
have a
on.
trailer
Yeah.
business, and I
Oh,
don't
that's
live
so
in a
cool.
trailer.
That's so cool.
I'll show you afterwards. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a trailer for this show, and I'll show it to you after. Interesting. Well, mine would be one of the Donna Summer titles, and it would be either On the Radio or No More Tears or She Works Hard for the Money, or it could be named after a Cyndi Lauper song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Oh, I think
Yeah.
something's been done. And playing me, who would do it? I think it would be Shonda Rhimes, fast talking. Very fast dialogue. I think I would like that. And it would be a musical comedy. And the only redheads I can think of, everybody says Bette Midler. No, I think it would be Reba McEntire because I
Okay.
do like
Yep.
some country music and she would
Yep.
play me. I like her sense of humor. I like her timing. She has a new series. I don't know if it was renewed called Happy's Place, where she inherits a bar from her father and discovers that her father had a little side business with another woman and that
Oh
nobody knew
yeah.
about. And she's got a half sister who walks in
Oh.
who's an MBA from some fancy college who wants to help her in the business. And they have to figure out how to. Anyway, it's kind of cute. And Reba is the star, and her current boyfriend, I'm trying to think of his name, famous actor. He's the chef with a big do rag around. He's the very big guy.
Okay.
He's been on a lot of detective shows. Shame on me for not remembering his name. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So that would be mine. So musical, fantasy, and it would probably be a limited series because I think they'd run out of things to say. But
Yeah.
limited series, 29 minutes, 6 weeks, and that's it. What do you think? Would you watch it?
I'd watch it. Yeah.
Oh, you're such a
Yeah.
fan.
I'd watch it.
I thank you.
I, I,
And
I would be depending on the trailer to hook me in though. As
all
long as the
right,
trailer hooks me
well,
in, I'll.
you'll help me write the trailer. There we
Yeah,
go.
perfect. Yeah.
And the last, I was going to ask you about your favorite vacation places, but we already did that. So
Yeah.
something you bought or made for yourself
Oh,
that
that's
makes you especially happy that you still have versus something that you lost, sold, broke, or gave away. So,
yep.
what do you think?
That's a tough because so of all the questions I was like I struggled with that one the most because I don't buy a lot of stuff. I'm a simple guy. I don't buy a lot of stuff. But so I like gardening. So this hasn't come up. I like gardening. It's one of my it's kind of what I do. I'm
Me
always drawn
too.
to it. It's how I get into nature. It's how I get out there. I just like getting down into the dirt, I guess. Um, probably the things that I use the most and that I like the most, I'm sort of it's like it's not pretty, But I made this nice trellis for my like sugar snap peas to crawl up, and I like making nice trellises for my tomato plants to grow up. So those are the things I like. Yeah, so I
Nice.
made these nice trellises for these plants to grow up, and I just you like seeing them kind of grow up and fill in, and then you get food off of it, and so that's
Yes.
kind of my happy place. I don't know if that's a cool answer, but
That's a very cool answer
there you go.
because, and you and I have not discussed any of this off
I
air
know.
before we got together,
Yeah,
but I bought a house with a third of an acre on a corner
right,
in a fairly upscale community, not fancy schmancy, but well kept houses, and
right.
there were trellises on the side of the house. And the first year I was here, I bought some tomato plants. There's a garden center with Sloan's. It's a family-run three-store hardware store, and they have a whole fresh plants outside, and they have a whole garden center inside. I bought decently started tomato plants, and I put them in there, and they grew up on the trellis. And Brad, they grew up to about 6 to 8 feet
They
tall.
get tall, don't
I
they?
like the little tiny tomatoes. I don't like the big beefsteak ones.
Yep.
And the I got some, and it was okay. They were good. The little tiny, they were called midnight snack or midnight black or something. They
Yep.
start out with a black skin on them, and then they turn orange
That's
as they
cool.
mature. And they're pretty good. Little tiny grape top. The
Yep.
second year, I didn't buy any plants. Guess what?
Oh yeah.
The plants grew back.
It just popped up. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
popped up. But, but,
That's
but, 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 I got something for it. And I had my gardener paint these trellises, which
yeah.
were white and awful. He painted them a dark color so they would just look earthy.
Yep.
Okay. Now, all of a sudden, some seeds from zinnias blew across the street from
Oh,
my one of my neighbors and
yeah.
put themselves in my garden. And one day, 3 foot tall, pink and yellow
Oh,
and white and red zinnias.
cool.
The next thing I know, the zinnias have spread throughout the whole garden, and they are now 4 to 5 feet tall. Well, about four
Oh,
feet
wow.
tall. And there's a sea of colored zinnias in between the tomato plants.
Oh, yeah.
One of the trellises, nothing happened. The other one was just, I couldn't even get in to collect the tomatoes. Sometimes I was getting 12 to 20 tomatoes a
A
day.
machete.
And I was
Yeah.
wearing a dress with pockets, or I'd bring a little bowl outside. And my neighbor started calling me Farmer Bonnie. It's like, shut up. So what? But I'm waiting to see what comes back this year. And I
I love it.
think the beginnings of the zinnias are coming back. But I will tell you, I have crepe myrtles. I have a magnificent magnolia that's about 30 feet tall in the middle of the lawn. I have Japanese maples. I have Bradford pear trees. I have Leland pines. I've got rose bushes. I've got hedges. I've got daylilies. I've got regular lilies that are now 3.5 feet tall that need to be staked. I've got plants. And Charlie, apparently, who the previous owner, his family owned a nursery, I found
No
out.
way.
And
Yeah.
he bought this house when it was a new house and empty basically. And I had pictures of him standing here with no gardening, and he just planted and planted and planted and planted. And hydrangeas, I have a hydrangea tree that's 6 feet tall.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. It sounds like an amazing garden.
Mm,
And I also love like one of the things like if you one of the I don't I find this as well like if you do active gardening like the little surprise like you say just the little surprise plants that pop up
wonderful.
like wow a
I
tomato just popped up I didn't plant that like
I
let's let
I
her ride.
love it. I love it. And now there's a side border on the other side where wild daisies are growing up. And my gardener has said, "You want me to come and put the weed killer down?" And I said, "No, I'm pretty happy with there's some ground cover and there's some just little weeds in there." I said, "You know what? It's looking pretty
Yeah,
colorful
just let
right
her
now.
ride.
Let's
I
just,
think a thing we do like we do this on purpose now. It's sort of by accident, but like I do my own home composting, so I have little compost areas out back, and
mm-hmm.
every fall, like it's squash season in fall, so we have squash and pumpkins and stuff like that. All goes into the compost. The compost down in the spring. That compost gets spread throughout the garden. And then we get like little surprise squash plants just popping up all over the place.
Oh,
And we just let them ride and just let them
oh,
go. And then we harvest them in the fall, we eat them, and
oh,
that cycle repeats. Like
oh,
just a little like where's the squash plants going to be this year? Like, wow. Yeah.
beautiful. 2 Halloweens ago at Sloan's Garden Center, I bought a real pumpkin, a medium-sized one, and I put it in the
Yeah.
flower boxes on the front porch. I never did anything with it. It just sat there. And as winter came, and it was a very cold winter, it kind of went "Whoa," and turned into
Ooh.
just mush.
Yep.
I didn't do anything with it. I left it alone. Spring came. The next thing I know, the pumpkin seeds has sprouted into a pumpkin plant in the flower box. The spiny, prickly spines, the stems are, you don't want to touch them, they will hurt
Yeah.
you. And yellow flowers, like little beautiful blossoms, are
Pretty.
now trailing off. It lasted about 6 months and then it did itself in. We had a lot of rain. It just
Yeah.
didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But it
Squash
was
doesn't like
a surprise plant. So I guess I usually do something else for this part of the show, but you know
it.
what?
There we
My
go.
surprise garden, and I will tell you, I have hibiscus trees, plants. One
Yeah.
of them gets about 5 feet tall with hundreds of blossoms that are a foot in diameter, bright
That's
red.
that's
The other
great.
one, farther down, these Charlie planted, the other one is so heavy that it falls on the ground and over the edge onto the gravel where people park their cars in front of my house sometimes, which I don't like too much.
Yeah.
The gardeners cut them back in the winter, which really pisses me off
Yeah.
because they cut them back to little bits of bark that's coming up through the ground. The big one is just now starting. The little one farther down is already about 2 feet of just green coming up. But I had a neighbor once, I watched outside. She came and took seeds when she thought I wasn't looking because
Yeah.
nobody has hibiscus like I have here.
Yeah.
Nobody has them. And they're very, and then I had the front redone and the gardener dug up everything and then put it back when we put in fresh dirt and put in some fresh plants. And people stopped by in their cars and said, "Is Bonnie getting rid of her hibiscus plants? We'll take them." And I said to him,
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
you dare give away
Yeah.
my hibiscus
Yeah.
plants." So
Yeah.
it's quite an adventure, but it's I call it a showcase property. I have to tell you, I found the man's name, and Reba's partner in crime boyfriend is Rex Lynn, and he
Okay.
played a detective on several
Oh
popular
yeah,
shows.
yeah. I
And look at
recognize
that
that.
red hair. She and I
Yeah.
have to get together and talk about red. She's
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
all different.
That's still a good bright red she's got going on.
Oh, that's fair. That's too orangey, too brassy for me, but she can wear it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
she'll have to tone it down when she plays me on TV. So those are our three topics there, and now I'd like to go to our three. Now I have to say this correctly. The part of the show is called "Say What." Can
Say
you say that?
what? Say what?
Very good.
Nice.
We didn't even rehearse that.
Nope.
You got to tell Mickey how well we're getting along,
Improv.
okay?
Yep.
I did it.
What?
I had my own stand-up comedy troupe years ago
Yeah.
called Bonnie G and Du Bois, Daboiz.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
we performed all over Long Island. Very, very interesting. I'll tell you later. Okay, so would you like to share any visuals? Because I have sharing available now if you want to push the.
I don't. Oh, gee. Yeah. I don't really have any visuals.
Okay,
I'll paint the
you
story
do
with the
your
story.
three and then I'll do my three because I have three
Yeah. Cool.
visuals to share. So you go ahead first.
Yeah. So I'll start off with the first one. So it's called the Improbable Rise of Chess Boxing. So these are
Hmm.
news articles. So this is a news article. This was in The Economist. This was in like in a very, you know, stately news magazine. The Improbable Rise of Chess Boxing. And it's a little article that describes this new sport, chess boxing. And if you don't know what chess boxing is, it's in the name. You play chess and you box. And so I looked up the rules for chess, and so this is becoming a sport. It's sort of catching on in England. It's kind of England's kind of I think where it started. It's catching on in England and starting to spread. So here's how you play chess boxing. There are 11 alternating rounds. There's 6 rounds of chess and 5 rounds of boxing. Okay? How do you win? You can either win by checkmating your opponent on chess or knocking them out. Um, so with the chess, it's like a an official chess tournament where you have a timer, so the timer can run out. If you run out of time, you sort of default, and so on. But it's half the game is these two like goons in their sports gear and their mouth guards and stuff, and they're playing chess. And then the bell rings and they stand up and they just start punching each other and wailing each other and say you can either win by knocking each other out or you can win by checkmating your opponent. Chess boxing.
I just looked it up. They're showing pictures of just people sitting at a table playing chess and people
Yeah,
with their helmets on and their gloves doing boxing. Interesting. Would you ever play that? Do you?
I would, I would not. Yeah. I'm old enough now that I do not want to get punched. That's a young guy's thing. I'm old enough now that I don't want to get punched, but I would certainly be interested in watching something like that. I enjoy watching people get punched, and I enjoy watching people play chess as well.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
it's like this brains and brawn kind of
Yeah.
sports, right? Like you got to think, and you also got to be sort of like physically ready as well. So it's like
Are women playing that too?
oh, you know what? That's right now. The article didn't say. The article kind of seemed like it seemed like it was males right now, but like women box,
Why
women
not?
play chess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I
I
agree.
don't remember the article specifying, but
I think. Okay.
I think women should play.
What's your second one?
All right, the second one is it's kind of the next two are sort of good news stories.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, just let me get through the headline here. Okra and fenugreek extracts safely remove microplastics from water in new Texas research.
Hmm.
So microplastics, big bad problem. The plastics that we have breaks down in the sun, comes down into microplastics, but it never fully decomposes. So microplastics never really decompose further. They get stuck in our environment. They get taken up by plants. There's like a spoonful of microplastics in all of our brains. We
Hmm.
don't know what impact that has, but we're going to find out. So all these big bad problems. So like, how do you get rid of microplastics? Big problem. There are chemical ways to remove microplastics, but chemical ways have problems of their own. We're like getting rid of one chemical by adding another chemical. But when you look at plants like okra and fenugreek, they're like natural plants and they naturally produce these polysaccharides, these sort of like long, like, you can think of okra kind of has these long, stringy, gooey bits, and same with fenugreek. And it turns out those like little gooey bits are like they bind to microplastics and then you can filter them out of water. And look at that, looking at the stats that they're getting like 70, 80, 90% of microplastics were being removed from the water just from these slime from these vegetables. And it's biodegradable, it's
Hmm.
natural, like you're not poisoning rivers. It's just like you're using this plant, part of this plant to pull out microplastics. So good news there. Final one is Ethiopians brew success as coffee and cash pile up thanks to transformative sustainable forestry programs. And so this is an
Wow.
article about this. It was like a non-government organization, sort of worked with these communities of farmers, training them and teaching them about sustainable forestry management, as well as commercializing and coffee production. And so by implementing these tools and technologies, this community of Ethiopian farmers were able to improve the yields of coffee, able to improve the quality of coffee, were able to improve the price they could get per coffee. They learned business and got hooked up with suppliers so they could get more money. All of that while reducing damage to the forest, like without having to like burn down forests by sort of being able to maintain the biodiversity of the land that they're in. So they're able to get this great commercial success while protecting, like through protecting and protecting sort of the natural forest ecosystem. So it's like, how can we can actually make money, make a good living without wrecking things. How's that? Good news story.
I
An
like
example, we can
that.
actually make money and have a good life without wrecking something. If we
I
just learn a
like
few
that.
tools and tricks and just try to have these and apply them. Good
Thank
news
you.
story.
I like that. I like say what we try to make those all good news. I'm going to share mine, and I do have visuals. And let me
Nice.
go to my screen and let's see if I can do this. Let me get rid of this. Let's get organized here. Okay, I'm going to see if I can hide some of my folders. Here we go. Okay, so the first one is six weird sandwiches people used to eat, Brad. According to legend, English aristocrat John Montagu, without the
Of
E on
course,
the
it's the
end.
British.
There you go. The fourth Earl of Sandwich, how appropriate is that, was hungry while he was playing an all-night card game back in 1762. I don't think we were there. He had his servant bring me a snack of beef between two slices of bread. I'm making this up, this just the voice. His idea caught on in high society. And the sandwich idea spread to other social strata across England, across Europe, and the American colonies, and in 19th and 20th century cookbooks. Here are six that did not survive. Ever heard of an oyster sandwich,
Oh
Brad?
boy.
Oyster sandwich. Oyster loaves were featured in Mary Randolph's 1824 cookbook and guide, The Virginia Housewife, and Eva Green Fuller's 1909 up-to-date sandwich book, where the first recipe added Tabasco sauce, lemon juice, and oil to raw chopped oysters. And she didn't tell what the measurements were. Slathered them, mixed them, and slathered them on white bread and topped it off with a lettuce leaf. That did not survive. How about it?
I'm like, I don't think there's enough Tabasco sauce to help that go
I
down.
don't think so. Now we have a yeast sandwich in Barry Enderwick. Apparently, he hosts a Sandwich of History social media channel, and he mentions this. In the 1930s, Fleischmann's yeast. I still have some packages of that. And by the way, during COVID, you couldn't get yeast. I think it was $100 for a small packet. It was people were baking bread. They were home all the time. Fleischmann's yeast in the 30s promoted nutritional benefits, resulting in an entry in Florence A. Cowell's 1001 Sandwiches Cookbook, 1936. She adds 5 drops of table sauce. She doesn't say whether it's ketchup, Worcestershire, Worcester, or other, to a cake of compressed yeast and spreads it on a cracker. It was not very big in the U.S. Then we have a pickle sandwich, which is a lot more than pickles. It's in the salad, sandwiches, and chafing dish recipes. Mix it with whipped cream, mayonnaise,
Oh,
grated horse. I think I need a Pepsi. Grated horseradish and chopped cooked beef on buttered bread. I think I'll pass on that one. How about a popcorn sandwich? In 1999's up-to-date sandwich book, popcorn is paired with buttered toast and adds 5 boned sardines, again Worcestershire, as you pronounce it, and enough ketchup to form a paste. I'll pass on that one. How about a toast sandwich? This was in Beaton's and the Beaton's
toast.
Book of Household Management, 1861. Brad, put a piece of cold toast between 2 slices of buttered bread with salt and pepper. Even though Isabella Beaton, who wrote the book, suggested adding slices of meat, the toast sandwich was revived by the UK's Royal Society of Chemistry in 2011, and it's served at the Fat Duck restaurant in Bray in Berkshire, England. Would you have a
I
toast?
think you're stretching the definition of sandwich with that one.
I think so. It's a sandwich. It's
Yeah,
a sandwich to
just
the second power. And then we have the mashed potato sandwich. It's the greatest man sandwich in the world. It's attributed to Gene Kelly. Remember the dancer and the actor and the singer? Yes. A thick layer of leftover mashed potatoes. You spread it on buttered French bread and you top with onion slices. I prefer Vidalia, the sweet ones, but raw? Seriously? Mayonnaise, salt, and pepper, and you brown it in a broiler. You've got the mashed potatoes with the onions and mayonnaise. Ugh. One recipe says you should enjoy this with the nearest mug of beer. Would you?
of all those, the potato sandwich is probably the one that I could, or the mashed potato one I could probably deal with.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. I thought so too.
yeah.
Then we have how do we know where did green come from to mean green for go?
Whoa.
Okay.
Okay.
So interesting, it's scientific. We all know green means go, red means stop, blue means pull over and hope for a warning.
Yep.
This was established in the 1840s when British railroads adopted a color code warning system to alert train conductors of something on the tracks. It evolved into green, yellow, and red traffic light system. Okay. According to a physicist, and the article did not name the physicist, red, listen to this, Brad, is most clearly seen through fog and smoke. And there's your danger right there. And the eye's receptors for red are in the middle, producing the sharpest image, so it's natural for warning. Red has the longest wavelength of, see, red? Any colors in the rainbow, so the human eye can see it from a greater distance than other colors, and it allowed plenty of time for a train to slow down if there was danger on the
Oh,
tracks.
very cool.
In contrast, a green light meant proceed with caution, and listen to this, and a plain white light meant full steam ahead. But some conductors saw the stars in the sky and other lights, and they said, oh, we see a white light. We're going to keep going. And whoops, we had some accidents, some mishaps. So green was reassigned to mean go. In
Okay.
terms of light, green is halfway on the spectrum between red and violet. It's visible from afar, but not as far away as red. Yellow and orange fall between red and green in visible wavelength, the perfect choice for alerting people to proceed with caution. So there's your yellow caution. And in 1935, the U.S. Federal Highway Administration standardized the 3-color system for traffic lights to lessen intersection confusion. What do you think of that?
That is cool. That's cool. That's groovy. I love it.
Isn't that cool? And the
Yep.
article was in Word Smarts, and I follow this all the time. And the writer, I have to give him a shout out, Bennett Kleinman, is a New York City-based staff writer for Optimism. He's also, listen to this, a freelance comedy writer, a devoted New York Yankees and New Jersey Devils fan, and he thinks plain seltzer is the best drink ever invented, and that's in his bio. Bravo. Bravo, Bennett. And then my last one is, when did we start breaking the ice?
Very
People say,
cool.
"Oh, I need an icebreaker. Let's break the ice. We've never met you before." Well, my poem for you, my rhyming bio was in a way.
Yeah.
So, an idiom by definition is a phrase where the overall meaning is understood separately from the individual words. Consider break the ice. The expression means to say or do something to relieve tension. Might seem like a modern invention designed for cocktail parties, but it comes back to the Italian Renaissance. We look to Desiderius Erasmus, a 15th century Dutch theologian. Did we know him, Brad? I don't know.
I never met him.
I
Yeah.
didn't either. He recorded 4,000 annotated Greek and Latin proverbs in his book, Adagia. There's an interesting title for you. Break the Ice is recorded in the first installment as proverb number 374. He credits it to the Italian humanist, not humorist, I got comedy on my brain, Francesco Filelfo. He states the expression means to open the way and be the first in beginning a task. It was derived from boatmen who send one of their crew ahead to break up the ice on a frozen river and open the way for others. And icebreakers came from that, and we'll just leave that alone. So, what do you think?
Awesome.
Those are my
I
stories. I
like
think
it.
that's all I've got. Yeah, those are my stories. So,
I suspect that job would suck. Like you go out on this frozen river and smash the ice. Hope you
yeah.
don't die. Yeah.
Okay, Brad.
Yeah.
Now, it's been just delightful. We're about an hour and 10 minutes here, which is great. I don't time these. Now, question is,
Oh,
that young actor, that young Val Kilmer, whether it's Robert Pattinson or somebody else,
yeah.
somebody a little bit younger than that, comes to you and says, Brad CA, I saw you on Bonnie D's Cool Dude show, and I want to grow up to be a cool dude like you. What, I know, be flattered, it's okay. What advice would you give that person to, would it be about music? Would it be about travel? Would it be about education? Would it be about passion? What would you tell them, Brad?
All right. Yeah. I don't, for me, I guess it's a good question. Let me categorize my thoughts. One is
Yep.
I just like learning. Be curious and try to learn something new every day. Like every day, I learned about icebreakers. I learned about green lights. Every day that you learn something new is a delight. So just learn every day. Be curious. That's something I tell them. I'd also tell them like have the courage to make a change.
Mm.
Sometimes change was forced on me, but people people get comfortable where they're at, and if you're okay, if you have the courage to make a change, sometimes you can improve things, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, learn something new every day, and just have the courage to make a change. Try new things. Be experimental. Approach life with a spirit of experimentation.
Oh, I
Just
like
try things out.
I say be your brand. Figure out who
You,
you want to be. And it can change, right, Brad? It can
yeah,
change different
yeah,
times in your
yeah.
life. But I was
Grow and evolve, and
telling
yeah,
you before we started the show today that I was getting in my car at this local Sloan's hardware store after buying some flowers, put them in the trunk of my car, and I'm dressed as usual in black with a red flower and little red boots and black tights. And a woman walking her dog in the parking lot stopped me and she yelled over and she said, "Aren't you hot?" It was about a 75-degree early summer day. It's only May, of course, but it was hot. And she said to me, "Aren't you hot?" And I said to her, "Of course I am, but this is my brand." And she
who I
looked at me
am.
like, "Lady, go home and put on a pair of shorts, for God's sake."
Yeah,
But it was just, that's how I feel about being who I am
yeah,
and expressing that wherever I go. And that's just me. That's how I feel about it. So, Brad, I'm so flattered that you wear a black shirt. That looks really, really,
yeah.
really
I was
sharp.
I was looking at the background, like, what background? Like, well, Bonnie wears black, so I think black works with this background.
It really does. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me because I have enjoyed this immensely. I really,
Yep.
really have. So I'm going to put on the closing music. I don't have the trailer ready to show you. I'll show you off the air, but I do have a trailer for the show. Let me start the music and we'll do a little more dancing here and we're all queued up. I have all of the buttons going on for Let me get the audio up here, and we're going to go out to the music So You Want to Be, and then we'll say goodbye to social. We'll stick around and talk for a minute. So
And
here we
I'm going
go.
to be dancing with like a professional disco dancer here
Oh,
for a
you
minute.
are. You are. Here we go. And a drummer, a chick drummer.
So you wanna be
So you want to be
a
a cool kid
hanging with
with inset. We're inset.
looking real,
Looking real. Cool and fine. Casting your net. Here we go.
So you wanna be
Bop, 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 bop. Gotta get my drumsticks. Thank you to Serge Hoffman for the music and singing my song. And thank you to Brad C. Anderson for being my special guest. And I'll be back once or twice a week with more cool dudes. And the goal is to get to 40 real soon. And then we'll go for 100. So thank you.